Well, hello there again. Ed1138 here, and it's probably going to be my last pickup video for a little while, just because, I don't know, picking too much crap up. But there have been so many good deals lately. Uh, I got a good deal. Actually, this would have been on pickup video 3 weeks ago, but I didn't do a pickup video that week. But I wanted to show you guys. If you saw one of my other videos, you would have seen this just kind of hanging out. But I got a Galaxian mini arcade cabinet, which goes well with my Pac-Man Frogger, and it's in pretty good shape. The label on this side is peeling a little bit, and I mean, obviously it's discolored a little over time, but it works great, which is awesome. Cool. And I love these things, and I got it for less than half of what they normally go for. I couldn't pass it up, so I had to. And then I'll get into what I got this last week. First off, Eldon, my friend, and my son and I stopped at, I keep looking at myself, I gotta stop doing that, stopped off at the Exchange on 30th Street in Canton, and there were a couple of games there. You can tell that they were from the same person because they are both, in the sleeve with the manual, and I got them for $2.50 a piece. The first one is Life Force with the manual, and Stinger, also by Konami, which is a lesser-known shooter with the manual. Turns out that's actually really fun. And you guys know now, if you've watched some of my other videos, that I'm going for a full collection of shooters, or at least American release shooters. And that's pretty much all I'm buying now for the NES. Well, shooters and some other games that I played when I was a kid, which I did pick up a few others. I got a couple of other shooters for the NES. I got, these were from used video game store, and I picked up Galaga, Joust, and Thunderbirds in a box. And yes, it is the British Marionette series Thunderbirds, although they did put a picture of this funny guy on the back here. And it is a shooter. Actually pretty neat from what I can tell. Going to enjoy sitting down and playing that one. That was all in the same day, those that I just showed you. It was last Saturday with my son and Eldon. Then, on two separate trips on, that was, I think, Monday, I went to the Exchange in Fairlawn, which is where I had been buying the buy one, get one free games. And the same guy was working that had been working before that let me go through and pick stuff out of the case. And yeah, I got a bunch of stuff. I got, well, Clue for $1. I bought that one separately just because, well, I wasn't thinking about it at the time. And it was cheap enough. And that actually came from a different store. Alright, so the buy one, get one free. I bought two games that were $5. But when you see the games, I think you'll understand why I paid $5 for them. But since I got two other games free, it was in effect $2.50 for these two games. And the first one was Gemfire. And now, no, they were not in the box. It was actually cart only. I went ahead and printed up my own covers and stuck them in extra boxes that I had. Well, it's a tight box, but it is cart only, no manual. And the other one was Phantasy Star 2. Now the funny thing about these two, and this was also card only, I made my own box for it. The funny thing about these is I was going through the case and they had Genesis games stacked too deep, and the guy didn't want me to kind of rifle through and pull them out on the floor. And he's like, oh no, all the best games are in front. And I said, yeah, if you don't mind, I'd still like to check. And these two games were piled up behind, so I would have never seen him had I not pulled everything out. He didn't want me to pull everything out. I did it anyway. And then I just got a whole host. I got a couple of shooters. I got Alpha Mission, and then Heavy Barrel is not like a typical shooter, but I remember playing this one when I was a kid, and it really reminds me of Jackal, which I consider Jackal to be a shooter. This is like Jackal without jeeps. And then I just got a whole bunch of other games. They were for the Super Nintendo, and I kind of wanted to beef up my Super Nintendo collection, and when it's buy one, get one free, you got to jump on them. Got Starfleet Academy, Wings 2, Total Carnage, which is another run around and shoot people. Star Trek The Next Generation, the Rocketeer on the Super Nintendo, Urban Strike, and I actually don't know what this is, Lagoon, and Cybernator. It's by Konami, and it's called Cybernator, so it has to be good. I can't believe that it would not be good. That same night, on the way home, I stopped by and picked up something else, and Spider-Man vs. X-Men. This was $2.99, complete. So I went ahead and bought that one. I was actually looking for something for somebody else, and I happened to cross that. So I bought it, took it with me, and it belongs to me now. And I paid not very much money for all of that stuff you just saw there. I think it was less than 20 bucks for all those games, and there's some pretty good games in there with Phantasy Star 2 and Gemfire. And I'm going to kind of get these out of order. Let's see if I can remember which I bought where. I bought on Tuesday a bunch of games here that were fairly cheap. Actually, this is where I bought Clue. I don't know how it got in the other pile. But on Tuesday I bought Clue for $1. Somehow I got the wrong pile. I bought Mario Andretti Racing for the Sega Saturn for $1. If I see a Sega Saturn game in the box complete for $2 or less, well, I'm going to say probably $2.50 or less, because I find a bunch for $2.50 lately. Doesn't matter what it is or whether I like racing games or not, I'm going to buy a Saturn game for $1. Also, for $2.50, I picked up Asterix. It is not complete. It's card only, but I don't know. I hear good things about it. We'll see. Now, these two games here, and I haven't cleaned them up yet. I'm going to. Were both $2.50. And I was actually surprised that they were only $2.50, and I couldn't figure out why. I don't know why, but the exchanges, this one was in Cuyahoga Falls, $2.50, they'll like have standard prices. It's $1, $2.50, then it goes from $2.50 to $5, and I mean, those are all their lower price games, but these were $2.50. The first one is Alien vs. Predator, and I'm assuming that the reason this one was so cheap is, I mean, you see how funky it is there. I think they thought that the label was torn, but I started picking away a little bit here, and all this is label residue. I think they thought that it had been ripped off, but I should be able to clean that up and make it look nice. And for $2.50, I got Alien vs. Predator. And the other one is, I don't know, certainly more valuable than $2.50. I want to say this is like a $10 or $15 game when I've seen it before, but Strike Gunner. Now, the reason this one was $2.50, I'm sure of it, is it is cracked. If you look on the back there, there's a crack that runs all the way through the back of the case, and it's been glued back together. Now, I'm going to take this apart, and I've got a donor cart that I'll be able to put a new case on there, but it does work. And for $2.50 for Strike Gunner, another one of my shooters, that is really cool. At this same store, well, I did not do so good. Well, this isn't so bad. I bought Super Thunderblade for $1. And then for $5, I bought a game that sounded really, really cool. And I remember seeing it on Classic Game Room. And I couldn't remember if he said it was really, really cool or not. Well, I went back later, and not only is it not really, really cool, he said it was one of the worst games he's ever played. And that was this game here. It is Heavy Nova. Yeah, with a name like Heavy Nova, and with that picture on the front, I just thought it was going to be an awesome game. So, yeah, that's a fail there. That game is, well, I tried it out in my Nomad the other night. It's not good. The controls are so terrible. And when you first start out, it looks like it's neat because you're this robot and you're tromping around, and you get through the first level in literally 30 seconds. You just keep walking straight forward. There's no jumping required. Well, he doesn't jump. He has like a rocket pack. You just keep tromping forward, and you kick things once in a while, and the hit detection is really messed up. But you just keep kicking these things, and then you get to the end boss. And at first, I thought it was going to be really easy to beat the end boss because I just kept punching. And then every time you hit him, he backs up a little bit. Well, once he backs up out of range, he just stomps the crap out of you. And yeah, Heavy Nova. Don't forget, Heavy Nova equals bad. It is not a good game. It was not worth $5 that I paid for it based on the promise of the label, and it's certainly not worth any more than that. I don't know. I wouldn't have even paid $1 for this. Just crap. The same day at a different store, I picked up a couple of other games, and I will not be going back to this store because the guy used to have really good prices on stuff, and I did manage to find Space Invaders for the Super NES. I mean, it's kind of ugly looking, but it was only $1. And I got Joust for the 5200 for $2. But he used to have really good prices on stuff, and these two were pretty good. They were pretty much the only ones in there that were pretty good prices, though. He had gone through recently and changed all the prices, and to make a long story short, I asked him why, and apparently some guy had brought in just a stack of games, and in the stack of games were a couple of different things, and he only wanted $50 for all these games. Now, he showed me most of the games that he still had that he hadn't processed yet. There were like 2 Contras. There was Super Mario All-Stars for the Super Nintendo. I mean, I could go through a whole list of games that, like $20, $30 games that were mixed in here. I just can't remember them all. And then he said, oh yeah, and there was one other game in there that he kept insisting was worth a bunch of money, and he wanted $50 for the whole stack, and I didn't want to give it to him. And I only gave him $45 for it, but he took it. And, all these, $10, $20, and $30 games. On top of that, he had that rare Flintstones game, the Flintstones Surprise at Mystery at, I don't know, the Peak one, not the Dino and Hoppy. And he said he put it on eBay for $250 and it sold within 15 minutes. It was just gone. So he has decided now, after looking that one up, that he's going to look up and everything he looked up, at least everything that I checked, was either at or above retail prices. And I mean, good for him, but I think he's going to find out very quickly that, I mean, if you're going to buy used games and you're going to pay retail price, why would you bother going into a local store? I mean, certainly I like supporting local people, but I mean, you're really going in there looking for deals, and if there's no chance that you're ever going to find a deal, you're just going to stop shopping there and go somewhere else. But anyway, I don't know. I would pay a fair price, but this guy's got things slightly overpriced, and the fact that he was so willing to take advantage of that guy, and then he laughed about another guy that came in and he got stuff really cheap. So yeah, I won't be going back to that one. At least not for a long time. Let him suck on some failure for a while and then see how he likes it. And then I bought a couple of other games on, I think it was Thursday. No, you know what? These were on Tuesday too. I bought Jungle Strike for $1 at an exchange in, I think it's Aurora. Aurora. And then I bought a game I don't normally, this is not a game that I was looking for, but I saw it and it was only $12, and I thought, you know what? I bet that's probably a good deal. And I contacted somebody that had recently bought it, and I said, hey, how much did you pay for this game? They said $30. And I said, so if I see it for 12, I should jump on it. And he said, yep, absolutely. Well, then, of course, when I get home and look it up, it sells for around $12 on a fairly regular basis. And then I saw a copy the next day for $9, and then I saw another copy for $5. But, yeah, I bought this. I got it for $12, and I mean, it's in really good shape. All the discs are in there. All the discs are in, really good condition. There's no scratches of any kind. It's got all 4 discs. It's got the manual. I guess I really can't complain too much, but I don't know. I like to find good deals, not average deals or okay deals. So those are my pickups. That's what I picked up this week. An update on my collecting status. I've just been buying everything I could find cheap for so long. Yeah, I've got too much crap. I'm going to stop collecting, like I told you before, for NES, with the exception of a few targeted games, because I've got them way over 200 by now. Same thing for the Super Nintendo. I never really set out to collect for either the NES or the Super Nintendo. It just seems like where I find the most deals. Super Nintendo, I've got well over 100 games probably by now, so I'm going to pretty much stop collecting for that. I'm still going to collect for anything boxed in the Genesis that I find, or Master System. But pretty much, I think I'm going to shoot for a direction. I'm going to go after all the shooters that I can find, all the role-playing games that I can find. For the really old systems, I shouldn't say really old, but for the older systems, like the ColecoVision, Intellivision, stuff like that, Atari Leaf gave me a good idea. I think I'm going to go after arcade conversions for those. Just because, I mean, I love arcade games. It's interesting to see how all the different arcade conversions differ from one another. So I think for those, I'm going to shoot for that. And there you go. I think that's everything. I don't know. I've got such a mess on my desk here. I'm not sure. But hey, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys later.